Hi and welcome to E-ZTutoring. Today we're going to cover how to complete the square when your a value is greater than 1. Now, for this video I'm going to assume you guys are already familiar and comfortable with completing the square, because when we do it when a is greater than 1, there are a couple of more steps involved, and I will only focus on those new steps. So suppose we have over here 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0. Now, you can't really complete the square when your a value is greater than 1 because it doesn't follow this format. It doesn't go to x plus b over 2 squared. So what we need to do is we need to make the a value 1. So I will show you guys how to do that. By the way, if you guys are not familiar with completing the square, I do have a video on that, so be sure to check it out. So what you want to do is you want to factor out a 2. Factoring out a 2 will give us just x squared, and now our a value is 1. So just like that, we got an a value of 1. So factoring out a 2 from negative 3 gives us negative 3 over 2. All you have to do is divide it by 2. Now, we won't factor out a 2 from 1 because that's just going to make things messy. So I'm going to leave it like this. Obviously, you would want to close the parentheses there if you were normal, but I'm thinking a couple of steps ahead of just adding in the number we need to complete the square. So we've gotten to this point. We factored out a 2 from our first two terms, and now we have an a value of 1, and now we can start completing the square. Like I said, I'm going to assume you guys are already familiar with the steps to completing the square, so I won't focus too much on these steps right here. So b over 2. You obviously do not want to look at this b value because this is our old b value. Now we are only looking at this quadratic right here. So our b value is negative 3 over 2. Negative 3 over 2. And then b over 2, so over 2. And this is negative 3 over 4. You want to use the keep, change, flip method for this if you're not understanding how I got that. And then, of course, we need b over 2 squared, which is negative 3 over 4 squared, which is 9 over 16. So 9 over 16 is the magic number that will allow us to complete the square, b over 2 squared. So we need to add 9 over 16. Now, we can't just add 9 over 16. That changes the value of this whole function. So we also need to subtract 9 over 16. 9 over 16 minus 9 over 16 is simply 0, so we're allowed to add 0. It doesn't change anything. However, be very, very, very careful when you add and subtract your b over 2 squared value to add and subtract it inside the parentheses. 9 over 16 inside is different than 9 over 16 on the outside because of this 2. You guys will see what I mean in just a second. So right now, in order to complete the square, we want these 1, 2, 3 terms. We do not want this term. That will not help us complete the square. So we want to take this last term, minus 9 over 16, to the outside of the parentheses. How do you do that? Well, really, to get anything outside of these parentheses, all you need to do is distribute the 2 to it. So we are going to do just one distribution to that value. Now, everything else will remain the same and remain inside the parentheses, like so. And now this value goes on the outside, except that now we need to multiply it by 2, which is extremely important, and it becomes negative 9 over 8. All right, and we need to add 1, and when we add 1, I'll just say we're adding 8 over 8 just to make life easier. So now we can complete the square over here. This follows the form of ax squared plus bx plus b over 2 squared, so we simply convert it to this, which is x plus b over 2, and b over 2, we know, we found it earlier, is negative 3 over 4. So once again, I said this in my last video, you don't want to add b over 2 squared. You want to add b over 2 because it's x plus b over 2. So we'll put x minus 3 over 4 squared with the 2 still out front. Negative 9 over 8 plus 8 over 8 is simply negative 1 over 8. And now we are in vertex form. So, just like that, we have completed the square when a is greater than 1. If you also want to go ahead and solve it using completing the square, we can go ahead and do that as well. We just have to add the 1 over 8. So this is equal to 1 over 8. And then we need to divide by 2 on both sides. So I am out of room. Let's try to go over here. So now we have x minus 3 over 4 squared equals, keep change flip, 1 over 16, square root both sides, x minus 3 over 4 is equal to plus or minus 1 over 4. So your two x values, if we add 3 over 4 over here, one of our x values will be 1, and the other one, if we add it and then subtract this, then we get 1/2. These are your x values, and that is how you solve by completing the square. I know I didn't focus too much on these steps. I have other videos on these. I mainly wanted to focus on how to complete the square when your a value is greater than 1. But anyways, that is how you do it, everybody. Hope it made sense. If you guys want ACT or SAT help, be sure to visit my website, www.e-ztutoring.com. Thank you guys. Have a good day.